Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I got a little bit more um, about this the crash case from Netflix. Um, I got some more information, and I also got some jail calls here as well. Let's get it.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to grab a true 16 terabyte ultra large capacity. You're under arrest for aggravated murder times two. Okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet?
Newly released body cam video shows us the moment teen Mackenzie Shirella was cuffed and arrested for the murder of her boyfriend and his friend. But even though she's told she's charged with 2 counts of murder, she seems most worried about her bracelet. We'll dive into this in a moment. You may remember this case, the story of a teenager in a relationship considered by many to be toxic and full of threats that ended in a deliberate car crash that killed her boyfriend and his friend. Mackenzie Shirella was convicted in 2023. A judge gave her a life sentence. Shirella will be in prison for at least the next 15 years for what she did on July 31st, 2022. Then she'll be eligible for parole. Mackenzie accelerated her car to 100 miles per hour on purpose and crashed it into a wall, killing her boyfriend Dominic Russo and 19-year-old Davion Flanagan. A big part of this case was the surveillance video, which showed the car driving slowly, then bolting past a camera at a high rate of speed before crashing into a wall. And you can see in this video just how fast that car was going. It would be several more months until Shirella would be arrested, and now police are releasing the body cam video of that moment from November 2022. I want to play the full clip for you so you can see the moments that the arresting officer arrived on scene.
Where's she? Right back there, pal. Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder times two, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it. You want my class? No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here. You're not gonna tighten these, okay? I don't want to hurt you. You good? Are they good? Thank you. All right. Screws are right here.
Actually, he took her out of the car and we did not.
Okay. Do you have anything out of pockets, anything like that?
We have pockets for this.
Watch your head going in.
The moment that's catching a lot of people's attention is how Shirella asks that the handcuffs not break her bracelet. Police also released this body cam video, a clip showing Shirella in the back seat of a squad car riding to the police station. She's alone, realizing that she was charged with the murder of 2 people. A big part of this case, especially when it got to trial, was the argument that Shirella never showed any remorse for what happened. Part of her defense was that she didn't remember the crash. Here's what Mackenzie said in her victim impact statement.
Families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much.
I want to thank Upside for sponsoring this body cam. Upside is a free app that gets you real cash back for everyday essentials like groceries and gas. Now, I'm new to law and crime. All my new coworkers were telling me to download Upside and give it a try, so I did. I went to a gas station about 4 minutes from my house, downloaded the app. I got 52 cents back per gallon. That was a total of $7 back, filling up my tank. That money will appear in my Upside app, and then I can transfer it to my bank account. It's an app that really works. Once you have the Upside app, you can claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. You pay as usual using your debit or credit card and follow the steps on the app and get paid. Now, as you just saw me do, you can use Upside at gas stations like Shell, Exxon, Mobil, 7-Eleven, and that's just naming a few. To find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description or scan this QR code and use our promo code BODYCAM. That will get you an extra 25 cents back on every gallon in your first tank of gas. In the months after the crash, Sherilla went to a concert in a wheelchair as she was recovering from her injuries. And in her mom's victim impact statement, she tried to argue that she went to that concert in the victim's honor. But you can hear the judge wasn't buying.
That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes, okay? And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident.
Ma'am, if you don't get the hell on somewhere.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No.
Really, ma'am?
God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Isn't that part of the problem, Mrs. Sherrill?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was
It's a
wonderful.
problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
Then it was the judge's turn to speak.
There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family, or Davion's family, or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence. But I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years.
Joining us now is retired Judge Fanon Rucker. Judge, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. You see this body cam video. What stands out to you?
Well, the body cam footage that we're seeing now is, and I've heard it described in so many instances as bizarre. This young lady, 17 years old, had just crashed a car 100 miles an hour and is now in custody. Didn't sound like she had any prior criminal history or engagement with police officers. And her first statement, it looks like her first statement, is, "Hey, with these handcuffs, could you be careful so you don't break my bracelet?"
Yeah.
Wow, what's the reaction? young lady, do you realize what's going on here? That's the first thought that comes to my mind. The second thought, and it's more of a practical consideration. I'm a plaintiff's attorney now, and I was a judge for many years, a prosecutor. As humans, we experience things that we're not used to experiencing. In our bodies, our minds, our thoughts, we go into shock. And it takes some time for us to process and return to some amount of normalcy. And what I see in that video is someone who most likely was in shock, even though her behavior after the fact suggests there may be some other irregularities in her behaviors as well.
Yeah, because a big part of her defense was that she didn't remember what happened. And then the prosecution standpoint was she has shown no remorse for taking the lives of these two people in this deliberate car crash. And then to see it play out with her talking about this bracelet. You've been on the bench throughout your career. You have dealt with people who have been accused now in your current work, people who have been accused of difficult crimes. I mean, how common is it that, because certainly for me, if I was told that I was going to be charged with 2 counts of murder, I'd be beside myself. But to actually be in that place where it just doesn't seem like it really registered with her at all.
Yeah, it really does raise questions about her mental health, mental health wellness, her mental health acumen. What we do know, this is a 17-year-old child at the time. She was 17 years old, and I don't want to in any way denigrate or reduce her responsibility. But we have to recognize that she was a minor. Now, they bound her over as an adult appropriately because of the heinous...
Just because she was a minor does not mean she didn't know the difference between right and wrong. At 17 years old, you are old enough to know the difference between right and wrong.
Nature of the crime and the investigation that revealed that this was deliberate and that she didn't not only brake near the time that this crash happened, but that the pedal was pushed all the way down to the floor at 100 miles an hour when this crash happened. So there was something going on intentional about her conduct, but ultimately she was clearly having difficulties processing her life in that moment, in the moments in the crash, and the moments after the crash when the officers stopped her. This was not what anyone, I think, who watched it can and would consider normal behavior. But what's normal behavior under these circumstances?
Yeah, certainly so. And seeing this video this week was an opportunity to go back to this trial from 2023. And one of her key parts of defense was, I don't remember this happening. In the legal community, what do you need to show in court when you're making that type of argument that I just blacked out, I didn't see it, where it actually can hold some water when you're trying to get a not guilty verdict for killing 2 people?
Yeah. So when we talk about statements from people suggesting that perhaps if they did commit a crime, they committed it by reason of insanity, they're not guilty by reason of insanity, or somehow they're not competent to move forward in trial, the ultimate question for a defendant in Ohio when they are accused of committing some offense and their later statement is, well, I was just so out of my mind, I had no intention of doing this. The question becomes, at the time of the commission of the offense, was the person so dispossessed of their mental faculties that they neither understood what they were doing nor appreciated the consequences of their actions? Now, I wasn't part of the defense team, so I don't know what evaluations were made to determine that she was, in fact, competent to stand trial and that this was not a substantial basis to argue that there was, in fact, not guilty by reason of insanity. But ultimately, the fact that someone claims, well, I blacked out, I didn't know what happened. There was a whole lot that happened before you blacked out and a whole lot that happened after you blacked out. And what we have with technology in these days is all of the abilities to go back through cell phones and go back through body cam footage and go back through sky cams and everything else to track people's movements, their actions, their buying, their purchases, their searches on the internet, and all those kind of things which can help to give a clearer picture of what someone was doing and what they were thinking to counter their argument that, well, I just don't know what happened here. Wow, did I do that? Well, yeah, and here's all of the hundreds of hours of video camera footage to show you all those things you did up to that time.
Yeah, that surveillance video of the car as it speeds up to 100 miles per hour, it just sticks with you when you think back to this case. She ends up getting a life sentence, but she does have the possibility for parole in 15 years. What will go into the decision by the parole board now 13 years from where we're speaking now to decide whether or not she would get out early?
Life with the possibility of parole after 15. The parole boards in Ohio and most other states, I actually used to work for the parole board in Indiana before going to law school. What they look for when evaluating whether to grant parole to an individual who is incarcerated, a lot of it has to do with what has changed about the person's life, their thoughts, or how they perceive the crime that was committed that led them in prison in the first place. What we see when people are denied parole many times is their refusal or an inability to accept responsibility for their actions. And we see that quite often. They may say they do, but the parole board's job is to engage in some introspection through questioning and through some investigation to determine whether a person is actually filled with sorrow or guilt about what they did, or if they're just saying what they need to say in order to be relieved of the rest of their jail sentence. The other thing that parole is looking for is what are you doing behind bars to make yourself what we consider in society a better person than you were before you went to prison? Have you been taking classes? Have you been engaging in confrontation with other prisoners? How are you getting along? Again, they look at the totality of the person, not only for what they're doing in prison, but more importantly, how they have received the consequences or accepting responsibility for what ultimately brought them there. And as the judge said at sentencing, she's doubtful that the parole board is ultimately going to grant this young lady parole because she, in her appearance and in her positioning with the court, at least in 2023, did not exhibit any level of remorse or responsibility that suggests to the judge that that's going to allow her to be released when she's up for parole, at least that first time in 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years from now, you have this body cam video. Will the parole board look back at it and see that this was a moment where she was not concerned about being charged with 2 counts of murder, was more concerned with the bracelet, and then her victim impact statement, it felt like it was roughly a minute long. She thanked her family, briefly said that she was sorry for what happened. Does that evidence prior to the verdict have an impact on whether or not someone could be granted parole?
Well, of course it does, because it's all about painting the picture. The parole board members who are going to review this case most likely weren't there in court at the time that this happened. Most likely none of the parole board members were part of the prosecution team or even part of the defense team or part of the jailers team that actually was responsible for making sure that she was properly incarcerated. So it will require a full painting of the picture of what led her to actually be incarcerated. So yes, they will most likely review all of that. But what's also important, and we hear about it every once in a while when a certain offender is up for parole in a highly publicized case, the prosecutor's office will make every effort, and they'll usually commit to the families in certain cases, that every time this person shows up for parole, the prosecutor's office will be there to object to it and will collect letters and will ask for statements from the family and will present just that type of damning evidence to their parole board to accentuate the fact that they don't believe that this person should be released. And I just have to believe that even though the father in this case said, I'm not looking for such a harsh sentence for this young lady, have to believe that at the time that she's up for parole, this will be reviewed by the prosecutor's office, and just those facts and how tragic and traumatic this was to this family and to the community, that they will be there to object to her release unless she shows some drastic, dramatic, overwhelming change in her character and in her acceptance of responsibility for this very, very sad affair.
The judge said that she was wrestling with, do you do concurrent sentences, or are they, because these are 2 life sentences, 2 people were murdered, or are they sentences that one and then the other? certainly you have this 15-year parole period. What do you make of this sentence? Was this the right decision?
Well, certainly. And Judge Rousseau is an extremely experienced jurist. She has handled many cases like this. Her observation of what occurred here through these facts and determining that this was appropriate for a concurrent, meaning you have concurrent versus consecutive. Consecutive means if I give you a life, you got this life, and then once that life sentence is done, you got another life to do after that life. Here she said it's a concurrent sentence, which means it's all served at the same time. I think it was very appropriate. This was part of a single act. It is horribly tragic that the young man who was in the back seat, who happened to be a friend of her boyfriend's, and of course they had a horrible relationship, was what it appears from witnesses and from the evidence that was presented. She and her boyfriend had a very rough go at it. But this young man who was in the back seat was really an innocent bystander who had nothing to do with the conflict that was going on between the two of them, and yet his family is grieving his loss. But is the life sentence running concurrent appropriate? Certainly the law supports it, and I don't think there's anything that I see that contradicts that was in fact the right decision made by Judge Rousseau here.
Since you've spent part of your career on the bench, I want you to take us inside victim impact statements and how that process plays out, because you have Mackenzie gives this very brief victim impact statement that she read off a piece of paper. Her attorney defended her. The judge sparred a bit with Mackenzie's mom, saying that she wasn't focused enough on talking about the victims in this case. And then the judge gives a very damning pre-written victim impact statement, kind of responding to everything she heard. How often can what a defendant says in that moment actually have an impact on what the judge decides the punishment is going to be?
So as a judge, the way that I handled my cases, once a person was found guilty and were going to be sentenced, I would give their attorney the opportunity to make a statement first. And then I would give the prosecution the opportunity to present any evidence, testimony, statements, photographs, any information they'd like to present for me to help to consider an appropriate sentence. And it will be during that time that the victim's family or the victims would testify, that any officers, community groups, any interested parties that were in touch with the prosecutor at that time, they would have the ability to offer their position. And then the last one that I would give the opportunity to be heard before I ultimately made my decision was the defendant, the person who was the subject of the case, the person who had been found guilty of intentionally or grossly in a negligent way committing some crime that now requires some level of punishment or consequences. They would be the last ones to address the court. And beside that, they will have had the opportunity, because of a Sixth Amendment right to confrontation, to have heard all of the other stuff that have been presented against them up to that time. The victim impact statement, and you had asked about that actually is a very specific vehicle that asks the question of the victims, hey, tell me how this has changed your life. What has this done to you? How do you feel? Do you have any recommendations about how this should be handled? Now, victims do have a right under Marsy's Law in Ohio to actually show up to court and to be heard on the record, but a lot of times they just don't have the confidence. They don't have the emotional ability to stand before the court and stand before media to make those statements. And so the written record in one's quiet room during a time of contemplation can be extremely useful and powerful in being read in court, either by the person or by someone on their behalf. And so that's the actual victim impact statement. The defendant's statement is not part of the victim impact statement. It's really just part of the defendant's offering of their thoughts, their position. It's called mitigation. Is there anything to help mitigate the consequences of what the court is going to do here? And I would yield a whole lot to what the defendant had to say. When I say I yield, I would really be listening for that acceptance of responsibility, that contrite apology, that level of guilt that says, I messed up here. Not, look, I know I didn't do anything wrong, let's just get on with this thing. Or, as we see in some very weird and really sad cases, the defendant laughing, smiling, not taking it seriously, blowing kisses. In one instance, I saw a defendant who was being sentenced for murder, blowing kisses at the widow of the person he had killed. I mean, those are all parts of that mitigation process. But we take, as judges, we take that into very serious consideration in helping us decide what sentence will be appropriate.
Yeah, this is certainly a very tragic case, this body cam video, allowing us to revisit it once again and shed a little bit more light of what took place back in 2022. Retired Judge Fanon Rucker, thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Very glad to be here. You have a wonderful day.
Again, Sherilla was handed a life sentence with the possibility of being released on parole in 15 years. But from what you heard from the judge, she believes that it's going to be unlikely that she'll get out that early. We want to hear what you have to say about this newly released body cam video. Leave your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for joining us for Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
It's basically make your own merch. How cool are these technologies?
3 seconds. Yeah, focus. It's done.
Magic.
Okay, I just wrote my name and we're gonna cut my name out. Time to cut. Okay, here we go. Wow, it's incredible.
Look at wall.
Look at this. Oh my goodness.
What I can see is this project, also this 3D printed.
Now, I've used UV printers before, and I'm such a huge fan. Like, it's so much fun. I don't think people realize, like, the things that you can do.
Xtool is a premium consumer tech brand focused on empower people to create in the real world.
When you need a legal hand with your will or trust, visit LegalZoom.
I'm coming with Kenzie and Dom, so I'm like playing with my friends, and then Kenzie's like, hey, like, Kelly, come here, and I'm like, what's up? And she was like, do you trip? Which meaning like, do you do acid? And I was like, no, I don't do that. And like, I was like, especially like my mom's here, like, I don't want to do that. Like I feel like she was like asking, she didn't say the words, but I felt like she was asking me if I wanted to trip with them at my house. And then I'm like right by them, so I could still hear what Kenzie was talking about, and she was talking about going to Mark's house, and she was like, should we do it tonight? Like, they were like debating, so like it sounded like they were debating on if they should trip or not, and they were talking about Mark's house. And then like 20 minutes later, like, they were not there long, and she had a pen on her. I don't know if it was her specifically, but they had a pen and they had a bottle of Patron. But they didn't drink there. Like, they were there so, like, short amount of time. Like, they didn't even leave the spot they came in. They were sitting in the same spot the whole time and then left.
Was anything suspicious about their behavior?
Not at all. Not at all. They seemed completely normal.
After leaving Kelly's place, Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion hop over to another party. The group hung out until the early morning hours of July 31st. The plan afterwards is to head home. The drive home begins as normal. Then, as the sun is rising, a 911 call comes in.
Southwest of Catch.
Yes. Are you familiar where Progress coincides with Albion Road there in Strongville? Yeah, just across the street from Progress, the building. There's a car that's smashed up against the building. I didn't go up to it because I was on my motorcycle. I didn't know if I'd get stuck, but they ran the curb. I can see they smashed the sign and hit the building. The car's crashed.
Did you know someone was in it?
I didn't go up to it. I was on my motorcycle.
How long ago was it?
2 minutes. I live right on Westwood. I live right down the street.
Officers race over to the scene. This is a sight many hadn't seen before.
Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. Times 3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing. Bust that window out. Rookie. Oh my God, dude. Who can hear my voice? Driver's radio. The driver is breathing, unconscious. This is bad, guys. She's alive. We got to get her out somehow. Reach up on my
Strongsville PD says it was 17-year-old Mackenzie behind the wheel. Her two passengers are Dominic and Davion. Dominic is in the passenger seat, and Davion is sitting in the back seat.
She's breathing. That's right. Let's see if we can...
24, go ahead.
You look younger.
I would get to you.
Copy.
Yeah, they're all pretty young.
I don't feel anything. I don't feel pulse.
She's breathing. I saw her stomach's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got two that are gone.
Yeah.
I don't even see how she survived this, to be honest.
You get a budge. It's on the frame. Let's go around.
Oh, wait. We can probably pull them from the front.
Real good. Oh my God. Sarge, we're good to try to get her out? Oh, dude, I don't know if I can. No, just wait until this guy gets here. Because she's pinned in there. Oh my God.
She's breathing now?
He's breathing.
Let me try to reach in and like sternum rub.
That would get to you.
Yeah, they're all young.
I'm gonna see if
I don't feel anything. I feel pulse. Okay.
I don't feel pulse on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel pulse on this one guy.
This one is...
We got two next on.
Half of... Oh, here we go, though, so he's going to lick his finger.
Yeah, happy Sunday. Girl drivers. I'm sure the guy.
I don't feel pulse on this one guy.
This one is...
We got two next on.
Hard.
Jesus Christ. That's the worst I've ever seen.
I mean, either she's drunk or high, or she just isn't from here, was going way too fast, and didn't know what the road was. Because, I mean, it looks like they even went off the road up there.
They did.
So it's like, okay, so it's...
They might have come directed from the other side.
Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, if you're hitting a building that hard, I just can't believe all the people that work up here, that are up here all night long, no one heard.
They're in factory type settings. So.
Yeah, well...
And it's dark over there.
That's insane, though.
Engine's still a little warm, I think, so...
Still, it's like... That's really insane.
Officers and firefighters pull Mackenzie out of the car.
21's gonna go. 31's gonna go. This way.
I copy. 2131. They said that there are firemen and that the female's classic Colorado is rambling, not making sense.
What's your name, dear?
Mackenzie.
Okay.
She's rushed to the hospital, but both Dominic and Davion are pronounced dead.
Was it a witness crash?
No, they just drove by this morning at 6 and saw the car here.
Okay.
We have no idea when it happened.
Okay.
Sometime overnight.
No idea where they came from.
No, they're just coming down Progress this way for sure.
I got time of call and time of death. right in.
He's warm to the touch. Very warm.
Alright, time is up.
6:44.
For both of them?
Yeah.
I don't even see how she survived.
You're seeing through the officer's body cam just how extensive the damage is in this fatal wreck. But while sifting through the damage, officers find more.
I had mushrooms and scale hunter. I secured it in my car.
Oh, okay. Is that going on? Yeah, marijuana, and mushroom. Alcohol cocktails.
There are also grinders in that bag.
Not that we can see.
Engine's still pretty warm, so it can't be too.
Okay. So it's they can stay on for a couple hours.
Oh, that's fair. Within a few hours.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm trying. We need to get this guy ID'd. His family needs to know.
At the hospital, officers have to deliver the harsh reality to Mackenzie's parents.
Babe, what'd they tell you? Okay. She was light flighted here. Yeah, I wouldn't know that. Okay. No. You want to sit down? Oh my God. Wait, say this. Progress in Alameda, car into a building. 2 are deceased in the vehicle. Father's driving. Who died? I don't know who. There's one that we don't know. His name's Jacob. Does anyone know Jacob?
No. Scott, let him talk.
Guys, I know, we've been dealing with this. Your daughter's okay. She's talking to us. I talked to her, okay? Your daughter's alive, okay? Your daughter's alive. She was driving with me, okay?
Who's that? Jacob and who?
I think what's the name you said? It might be. Oh my God.
Stop.
What's his relation to you?
My boyfriend.
Okay. Yeah, then Don was in the car.
Stop. Are you kidding me?
Ma'am, it's...
What?
That's where we're at right now. Okay?
What did she say? What happened?
What?
It's right now. It's an ongoing investigation. Speed is definitely a factor. So are drugs.
Oh my God.
Loved ones say Mackenzie appears heartbroken over Dominic and Davion's deaths. On August 7th of 2022, her family shares this post under Dominic's online obituary, which reads, "She loved you. We loved you. My whole family loved you. Forever in our hearts. Forever." Just a couple weeks later, on August 24th, Mackenzie herself posts this under Dominic's obituary. "I miss you, Nug. I still feel like you're just gonna walk in the door any second. I miss your laugh, your perfect smile. I feel your energy around me every day. I just wish it was physical. God, you are the last person to deserve this. You had such a perfect life ahead of you. I wish I told you all this more. Please wait for me." However, while many believe she's in recovery and in mourning, Mackenzie posts several videos to her TikTok page.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
Dominic's family begins sounding the alarm on some red flags they are starting to notice. Let's take a listen to some of Christine Russo's interview. She's Dominic's mom.
At this point, we're waiting for the tox screen to look at whether it's OVI related or something else. Now, when you and I talked before the first time, you indicated that you thought this wasn't just an OVI, that there was something else.
She told me the other day that they were f***ed up. I asked her, why didn't you ask me to come get you? And she said, we weren't f***ed up or anything. Quote unquote. I don't have it in writing. I only have it orally said to me at the cemetery. So that's what she said.
Do you still believe that theory that there was something more sinister than, any type of impairment involved?
The only thing that I I mean, to me, I don't know if there's a lot of rumors. I think a lot of people are lying about things.
Everybody who was at the party is very uncooperative, and they practically lawyered up and refusing to talk. I noticed that there were some text exchanges between you and Mackenzie, and a lot of times, at some point there was some "I love you" exchanges, so maybe she felt comfortable. But can you tell me what the relationship was like between Dom and Kenzie?
Well, Dom was kind of more private with me regarding their arguments, but my son said that she would threaten him all the time, and he blew up on me one day saying that Kenzie drives Dom crazy and it's horrible. And even say that all Dom's problems were because of her and being upset. And I needed to realize that she wasn't as sweet and innocent as I thought she was.
Dom ever talk about her driving or her, ever, mention anything to you about, I don't feel safe getting in a car with this girl or anything of that sort?
Like I said, he has stated that she's crazy, that he was concerned about her driving.
Investigators also learned Mackenzie was seeking attention elsewhere, like through some modeling agencies. This is the police interview of Paul Burlinghouse, a friend of Mackenzie's since middle school.
If you're on social media, did you see Kenzie talking with this modeling company after the crash, after we gave her her phone back?
I saw people talking about that.
Yeah, what did you see?
Just people really enraged.
Enraged about what?
That she was talking to the modeling company.
Yeah, did you see how happy her mom was that the modeling company is trying to help her plan her future? She just killed her boyfriend and another kid with a very bright future. She killed 2 people. And the reaction is, I'm worried about my modeling career instead of, that's what I'm saying, weigh all that as, as the time comes, that people can put on a really good show about how devastated they are, but then you look at their social media and you're back talking about your career and your future plans. If I kill my friends or if I'm responsible for the death of somebody, it's devastating.
For detectives, Mackenzie's behavior wasn't the only thing that was alarming. Speed was also a major factor in the deadly crash. Officials say Mackenzie was driving well over the limit. She was going at least 100 miles per hour. Officials found the teen also had THC in her blood at the time of the crash. Friends of Davion tell detectives Mackenzie was known to roll up a lot.
They called her baby because
yeah, what's that? Just because she smokes so much weed?
She smokes weed, and there's pictures on her Instagram, but I'm sure she took it down now.
Yeah,
we've her in cars smoking weed.
Yeah, we have those.
I know from a lot of people telling me, and even her closest friends, that Kenzie and Dom used to fight all the time.
Okay.
And she used to road rage all the time. I remember someone told me that she dropped Dom off on the highway because they got in a fight. So she was just known for being that kind of girl in high school and as well out of high school.
Anger issues?
Yeah.
So she road raged, even kicked him out on the highway once?
Yeah. She just drove him crazy, and we just don't know how he dealt with it.
On November 2nd of 2022, 3 months after the crash and not too long after Mackenzie was discharged from the hospital, police have her in cuffs and not for driving under the influence.
Where's she? Back there, pal.
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it. You want my glasses? No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here.
Actually, he took her out of the car, and we did not.
Do you have anything I can pockets, anything like that?
That's your head going in.
These moments from body cam and from inside the squad car were just released in 2025. So we're really seeing the weight of this entire case hit a then 18-year-old Mackenzie. And this is probably a place she never thought she'd be.
It's just like...
Straightforward. Yep. So that door. Step on that yellow line. Just face the wall.
Okay, Mackenzie, I'm gonna take your handcuffs off. I need like all the jewelry and everything from off, okay?
I can't wear any of it.
No, I need you to take it off while you're in jail right now.
A grand jury indicts her on a dozen charges, and prosecutors seem confident there is overwhelming evidence that the crash was intentional. The state learns Mackenzie had been threatening to kill Dominic, and they even thought possibly herself too. Within a year, the case will go on trial. Not in front of a jury like maybe some are used to seeing. This decision is going to be solely decided by the judge in what's called a bench trial. According to court filings, we learned the judge visited several locations along the route traveled by Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion. Officers who responded to the crash testified in court what they witnessed. One said the car looked like it was cut down the middle. A reconstruction expert testifies the accelerator pedal on Mackenzie's Toyota Camry was fully depressed for 4.6 seconds before the crash. The engine throttle was also at 100% until 1.6 seconds when the vehicle went airborne as it went over the curb. And during that nearly 5-second time frame, at no point was the brake pressed. But Mackenzie's attorneys offered a medical explanation that could explain the fatal crash. Let's take a listen to a little more of Paul Burlinghouse's police interview. Again, he's known Mackenzie since middle school.
Did you ever sense, when she would hang out with you, she's scared of something, she was, depression, she talked about, she hated life.
I know she had POTS disorder. I think that's what it's called, where you pass out. I know that's what her mom was talking about.
When did mom talk about that?
When I visited her in the hospital.
Yeah. So after.
How many times have you talked to Kenzie since the accident? I only got to see her once.
You got to see her once?
Yeah.
What was she like?
Not happy in the hospital bed.
I mean, my takeaway from having visited her twice was she didn't seem to care too much that she killed her boyfriend, another guy. Did you get the same feelings?
When I walked in, she was broken. She was absolutely devastated, and she wouldn't shut up about that. Like, she would only talk about that.
While the theory was introduced at trial that her POTS could have caused the crash, an investigator with the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles testifies Mackenzie didn't note that condition when applying for a temporary license in 2022, after getting in an accident months before Dominic and Davion's deaths. As is the right of all defendants, Mackenzie chooses not to take the stand in her own defense during trial. As for the judge's ruling on this case, guilty on all counts. Now it's August 21st of 2023, the day Mackenzie will learn her fate. Sentencing days are always emotional, not just for the defendant, but for the family of the victims who finally get their moment to speak their piece. Much of this case is about Mackenzie and Dominic and the ups and downs of their relationship, but there's another person who is Mackenzie's victim too.
My son Davion is and always will be so much more than cargo. He was precious. He was an amazing soul with a heart of gold. He gave to the world what he wanted most in his own life: love. The kind of love that would rescue a friend in the middle of the night, no questions asked. The kind that would protect others and honor them. He made friends easily with his infectious smile. He was a gifted athlete. He had plans to go to barber school and open his own shop. My son did not have a clique of friends, but instead was a friend to all. He would go out of his way to show love and kindness to others, including those that were often cast aside by society, the less fortunate, the developmentally challenged, the hurting, and the unvalued. Davion made sure that everyone that crossed his path knew that he truly saw them, that he valued them, and that they were worth his time.
Easy to start selling on Depop. Just snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest.
That he valued them, and that they were worth his time. Davion and my kids have had more than their fair share of heartbreak, of hardship, and of loss. Davion was adopted with his sisters from foster care. They are biological siblings. We are honored to be chosen, or to have been chosen, to be their parents.
The passing of Davion Markel Flanagan has been very difficult for me. We have gone through everything together since day one. Davion was a big brother to me and my younger sister, Dalia. We all got adopted together in 2012. After Davion passed away, a lot of trauma and past pain has came into my life, causing it to be difficult to heal from this trauma event, or this traumatic event. Davion was not just a big brother to me, but a role model in many ways. He was the person I trusted the most because he made me feel safe. He taught me the importance of cherishing each moment and enjoying life. The memories we have are strong, but losing him has shown me the value of life. I feel as if I can't move forward. I would like you to give Mackenzie the longest possible sentence. I've known her for about 3 years, and as she's always taken the easy way out.
Dominic Russo's family also doesn't mince words when it comes to Mackenzie.
No one wanted this to be a murder or to punish Mackenzie Shirilla for this accident. But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. There's no fix put in this case, as the Shirillas would like to proclaim. I want to thank Strongsville Police Department and the state of Ohio for seeking the truth behind this crash. Thanks to them, we all know what happened in that car that day. What we don't know is why. I wish I could change this every day. I lost 3 children in that crash. Not a minute goes by each day that I don't think about my son, as well as Davion. My heart is forever broken. Mackenzie Shirilla had a choice. Dom and Davion did not. We are all left here to mourn. But what Dominic and Davion lost can never be remedied in any way or by any particular sentence. July 31st, 2022, I called Mackenzie's mother, hysterical with the loss of my son and Davion. I knew Mackenzie was in the hospital, and the first statement said to me was, "Oh, please don't listen to what everyone's saying on Facebook." Yeah, my son is dead, his friend is dead, and I'm checking on yours. Yet social media is what's important. Social media has made a game out of the life of Mackenzie and is making a game out of this heart-wrenching tragedy. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul.
Prosecutors slam Mackenzie's lack of remorse after the crash. They say her behavior, like in her social media videos, is one of many examples.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
Got a figure like a pin up, got a figure like a doll. Don't care if you think I'm dumb, I don't care at all.
Shortly after being released from the hospital, the police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the Flats. And again, Your Honor, I'm introducing these to the court to show the shocking lack of remorse. This was
a self-absorbed child.
Being exhibited while the investigation was still going on, before she was charged and arrested in November of last year. And these were the sort of things that were coming to the police, and the shocking lack of remorse, coupled with the fact that the defendant was reported driving an automobile. And shortly after this event, that she was seen in Strongsville again driving a car. In spite of the fact that, as her mother testified, she got dizzy sometimes from a condition that she had to take salt pills for, in spite of the fact that it was in fact her mother who provided her with the car that she used to take Dominic and Davion's life.
Judge, can I just make one continuing objection?
Sure. These are on Halloween of last year, so these would be post-crash, just before she was charged in November.
Mackenzie's mom, Natalie, begs the court for mercy on her daughter.
Your Honor, this was a terrible, tragic nightmare accident to have happened that she has no memory of, and she will never emotionally or physically recover from it. She almost died too, and we're asking that you please not run the sentences consecutive. He was family, and we all loved each other. That morning of the accident, she called. I got a phone call that there was a car accident. Okay, so we went to the hospital, and I didn't even know who was in the car. The names had not been confirmed yet, and I'm gonna cry because I messed up so much. We loved him so much. I'm asking you for a leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend, and I'm so sorry.
His life is worthless?
No. God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent
Even
every
the
day
cops
together.
are side-eyeing
You know
this
what I mean? I
lady.
don't know too much for him. Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem? That they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
how they all ended up in the car together?
I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never. I understand.
The moment comes for Mackenzie to speak before her sentencing. Now 19 years old, she delivers her statement while fighting back tears.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting for me.
Her defense attorney pushes the judge to consider having her sentences run concurrently or at the same time. But does the judge agree?
All three of these families and the friends of these families are suffering, and all of their lives have been irrevocably changed because of the actions of the defendant. The unintended and collateral consequences of a selfish, intentional, and cruel decision by Mackenzie will ripple forever in time. It's literally changed history because it's ended 2 lives. 2 young men are dead. Their deaths were horrible. There can be no doubt in your mind what happened this night. There can be no doubt of the absolute terror of the 2 people in that car. The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose a day She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through an industrial parkway.
Yep.
She chose the target to hit and the victims. She chose the means and the method to follow through. And she planned and purposefully executed the events of July 31st, 2022. The review of the evidence supports the factual findings, the forensic testimony, the testimony of the first responders, the testimony of the emergency room doctors who treated the defendant, the testimony of the coroner's medical examiner, the testimony of those who knew the victims and the defendant, and the testimony of the BMV official who provided evidence that not only did the defendant deny any medical condition when applying for her license, which her mother co-signed and attested to, but also that just after the accident, Mackenzie renewed her driver's license and again denied any medical condition. During the investigation, she asked if they could just suspend her license for 10 years. It is hard to fathom how a person could be concerned about their driving privileges, having just been responsible for the deaths of 2 people. There was no medical condition that caused this as an accident. There was no mechanical failure of the car. The record is clear on the facts and the evidence. Her mother's uncorroborated statements without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. It is also important to remember that even if Mackenzie intended to also die in this crash, that is irrelevant. A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder. And even in a murder-suicide attempt, when the perpetrator executing the plan survives, the other death or deaths are still murder. There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room. That person is you, Mackenzie. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other, with credit for time served.
Mackenzie Shirilla is serving her 2 life sentences for the murders of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan at Ohio's Reformatory for Women. She'll be up for parole after 15 years. The first parole hearing will be held in 2037. Thanks for tuning into this episode. I'm Elizabeth Milner, and we'll be back soon for another episode of Female Criminals.
Coffee, chaos.
I'm Detective Kazoo. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2.
We're following fallout from the documentary that everyone is talking about. Mackenzie Shirilla spoke out for the first time since her murder conviction in connection to the crash that killed her boyfriend Dominic Russo and a friend Davion Flanagan. But I'll show you the parts of the story you didn't see in the documentary.
Are you guys did this on a weekend? Well, we like to go, hey, there's a warrant for, we would have brought a rig down here with no problem.
And why Mackenzie's dad now appears to be in big trouble after the movie's release. We're on The Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Hey guys, real quick, before we get into this episode of On The Case, I need to tell you about this free app, Upside, that can get you cash back when you buy daily essentials like gas, groceries, and takeout. Here's what you do. Download Upside for free, then you claim an offer at one of their 100,000 plus locations, pay like you typically would, verify the purchase, and you get money back. I use it when I pump gas, or maybe I'm doing takeout. I just search for offers on Upside first, then after I spend, money appears in my app, and I just transfer it straight to my bank. Upside's frequent users earn an average of $254 back a year. So to start getting cash back, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen and use promo code OTC to get an extra 25 cents bonus on every gallon on your first tank of gas. The movie The Crash is out on Netflix. It is a shocking true crime documentary that looks at a case that we have talked about a lot here on Law and Crime. And in this movie, for the first time, we see Mackenzie Shirilla give an interview from inside of prison as she is serving 15 years to life
since her conviction in 2023. One of the more shocking parts of this documentary, it's not just what Mackenzie had to say, it's what her parents had to say. And there's been a lot of criticism of them after this movie was released. And to this day, they say their daughter's innocent. Mackenzie says she doesn't remember what happened on the night that she drove a car 100 miles per hour into a wall, killing Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. Now, the evidence proved otherwise. A judge in Ohio found Mackenzie Shirilla guilty in 2023, and she is serving 15 years to life in a prison in Ohio. Now, the fallout we're talking about today has to do with Mackenzie's dad. He is featured prominently in this documentary. He unapologetically supports his daughter and says that she is innocent and that the judge got it wrong. But now it appears he's in trouble with his job because of what he said in the documentary. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, and we're also going to talk about some of the parts of the story that you didn't see in this documentary. It's a really good documentary, but I was surprised that there were some parts of the evidence that prosecutors laid out in the trial that didn't make it into the movie. So let's dive into how we got to this point. Mackenzie Shirilla was 17 years old, and in 2022, she is dating Dominic Russo. And she, like a lot of teens, is very active on social media back then. These are some of the images that she posted to her TikTok. And in 2022, she's dating this 20-year-old named Dominic Russo. This is a picture of the two of them together. They reportedly dated for multiple years. The couple actually lived together in one of Dominic's family's homes. Mackenzie's parents in the documentary The Crash, they really paint this relationship as something that's beautiful, young love. One day, her dad says that the couple potentially was going to get married. Mackenzie, in her own words, says, had the crash not happened, it was likely that she was going to be Dominic's wife today. But prosecutors say that story, it couldn't be further from the truth. They say don't let the pictures fool you. This relationship was far from perfect. In fact, they say this relationship was toxic. Dominic's family testified in the murder trial that the couple would often fight. Dominic's mom said that the couple would make threats against one another.
Like before, you lied. You lied and said you would never lock me out of the house again. That is why we got back together last time we broke up. But I forgot. You can never keep your word. Because you were...
You broke up with me earlier.
This is your last chance to open the door, or you are not coming out of this house all night, because I will not leave.
That's a phone call between Mackenzie and Dominic that was part of the evidence in the case, and it just gives you a glimpse into what this relationship was like. And in the early hours of the morning, on July 31st, 2022, this relationship turned deadly. That's video of Mackenzie behind the wheel, driving more than 100 miles per hour into a wall around 5:30 in the morning. Here's video from before the crash of the car with Mackenzie driving, fully in control, rounding the corner at a normal speed before prosecutors say Shirilla floored it. Dominic was in the car as well as Davion. Both of them died. But at this point, during the crash recovery, it didn't appear that we were dealing with a murder.
Radio. Car splitting two. Radio, there's an occupant inside. Send us a squad now. We gotta bust the window out. Send us some more units.
Any more units to progress now, Anita?
Now!
What am I doing?
Introducing X-Tool P3.
Very on, spawn up. 60 on Westwood, I'm doing 3 on Alameda. This is not a fresh accident either. She's been here for a while. Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God. Oh my God. Times 3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing. Bust that window out. Rookie. Oh my God, dude.
This is video of police rushing to the car to see if anyone survived. Investigators believe that Mackenzie crashed around 5:30 in the morning, but this car wasn't found until about an hour later. And here's a clear picture of just how bad this car was mangled. Mackenzie claimed that she blacked out, that all of this was an accident. There's no doubt that she's lucky to be alive when you look at the wreckage left behind from this crash. Mackenzie was airlifted to a hospital with multiple fractures. Now, in the Netflix documentary, The Crash, producers don't touch on this, and I was surprised they didn't, because it was a key piece of evidence for prosecutors
They
in the
should have
murder
touched
trial.
on it.
And that evidence is that prosecutors say that there's cell phone data that shows that Mackenzie was in this area, the area where this crash happened, days before. And prosecutors argued that it showed that Mackenzie was scoping this area out. Now, in the vehicle, police found a weed pen, a bong, and multiple grams of marijuana. That certainly played a role in the story that prosecutors told as well. And Mackenzie's dad, in the documentary, talked about how his daughter regularly used marijuana. But prosecutors argued because she often smoked weed, that it wasn't something that would have impaired her and led to her putting her foot on the gas, as the black box in the car showed, and flooring it into a wall at 100 miles per hour. Prosecutors say she was not impaired at the time of this crash. As Mackenzie was recovering in the hospital, she played the role of a grieving girlfriend publicly. Prosecutors would later argue that she wanted to turn that role as a victim into something where she could make money, working as a model.
Shortly after the crash, Strongsville police were notified that they had received concerning emails from the community that the defendant and her mother were seeking employment with the Los Angeles modeling agency. Kenzie Sharilla said to Vitali, "Thank you for the comment. I would love to work with you guys. I've been emailing you guys a lot. Such a great opportunity. Thank you."
A classmate shared this text message with investigators that shows Sharilla asking for him to go get pictures of her from Dominic's room so she could put them in Dominic's casket at his funeral so, quote, he can be with me forever. Sharilla also went to a concert in the months after the crash in a wheelchair, as you can see here. Prosecutors used it as trial to once again prove that she was not a mourning girlfriend, but was trying to capitalize on what had happened. Now, if you watch the documentary, there were also people who were friends of Mackenzie Sharilla who argued it wasn't in her character that she would do something like take the lives of two people, including the life of someone who she had dated for a long period of time. That's something that prosecutors didn't buy. It's certainly something that the judge that decided the verdict in this case did not buy.
The police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the Flats. And again, Your Honor, I'm introducing these to the court to show the shocking lack of remorse. This was something that was being exhibited while the investigation was still going on, before she was charged and arrested in November of last year. And these were the sort of things that were coming to the police, and the shocking lack of remorse, coupled with the fact that the defendant was reported driving an automobile shortly after this event, that she was seen in Strongsville again driving a car. In spite of the fact that, as her mother testified, she got dizzy sometimes from a condition that she had to take salt pills for, in spite of the fact that it was, in fact, her mother who provided her with the car that she used to take Dominic and Davion's life.
But as Mackenzie played the part of a victim, authorities built their case, and in November of 2022, she was arrested.
Where's she? Right back there, pal.
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it. No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here.
Here's the beef. One that makes nutritious, delicious. One that gives you a boost of iron, zinc.
You're not gonna tighten these, okay? I don't want to hurt you. You good? Are they good? Thank you. All right. This cruiser right here.
Actually, he took her out of the car and we did not.
Okay. Do you have anything I can buy? Pockets, anything like that?
We're a pocket for this.
That's your head going in.
I did. That's what wants gone.
You okay?
This is video of Shrilla in the back of the cruiser being taken to the county jail. She seems solemn. She seems emotional.
What happens now? What am I doing?
Okay, well, Mackenzie's 18, so,
The lawyer said they called and said that, not to talk to any cops, that she's legal counsel.
yeah, and we read her rights. She's 18, and we are not going to ask her any questions. We have nothing to ask her, so we're not going to ask her anything anyway. So when we're done with our booking process, she will likely be processed downtown. We'll transport her downtown.
That is video of Mackenzie Shrilla's mom at the police station after her daughter was taken into custody. Again, Mackenzie's mom and dad defiantly stand by their daughter, saying that she is innocent, even though prosecutors would point to the black box of the car she was driving, showing that the gas was pressed down to the floor. There was no effort to brake whatsoever. Here is video of Mackenzie's dad showing up at the police station. Here's what he says to authorities.
I need to speak to my daughter because you guys aren't allowed to speak to her at all. That's from the lawyer. He does not want you guys speaking to her. And I can get him on the phone, and he can tell you that over the phone. All you guys did this on the weekend is just, well, all you do is go, hey, there's a warrant for, we would have brought her right down here with no problem. It's just unbelievable. I mean, 18.
So the warrant was issued today, so we executed it today. The warrant wasn't issued earlier.
We even made a phone call, couldn't you? You could have a reaper out in front of my yard watching.
So, she can't take any, she's an adult, she can't take any phone calls right now. She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay, I don't know when.
She'll be transferred downtown.
Okay, well, I still need to speak to my daughter so she understands what her, not saying anything to you guys.
Okay, and I don't know about the phone, I would have to ask about that.
Can you go play? I do need it. I have other children.
Then that's how we communicate.
Yeah, and that's what
So
I do need my phone.
I remember when we had to roll out the whole mass to pick up an 18-year-old girl who could hardly walk out of a hospital visit. It's just beyond me.
So we follow the law, that's what we're doing today. So the phone that was in her hand is the one that we took, but I'd have to check with the detective to find out what's going on with that. I don't know the answer to that.
Can we find out? I do need it like right now.
Okay, let me
I have another child.
No, I get it. So we got one.
Yes, am I going to be able to have a 2-minute conversation with her?
You cannot talk to her about these things.
Why doesn't she get a phone call? Why don't she get a phone call?
She was
just brought in. They're going to process her as soon as they get the time for her to make a phone call. She will be able to make a phone call.
You just need to advise her. She has a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She does have a lawyer.
She is 18 years old and she could speak that.
Yeah, but she's a dumb 18-year-old that just turned 18.
Well,
and you guys are no, folks. All the kids nowadays are dumb, and these guys are going to take advantage of it. She's not allowed to speak to you guys. I'm telling you that.
Her attorney can call us.
Don't ask her any questions. She's not allowed to speak.
Mackenzie's dad is now facing his own issues after this documentary dropped on Netflix. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Mackenzie's trial. So it's 2023, and Mackenzie, again, she argued, and she still argues to this day, that she doesn't remember what happened that night. She has no recollection, she says. Mackenzie opted for a judge to decide her innocence or guilt, not a jury. And that judge found Mackenzie guilty on 12 charges: 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools. At sentencing, this is what Mackenzie said.
Is there anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Well, Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
Families of Dom and Davia, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davia. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys.
It's important to take time for self-care. Not now, Cookie. Y'all need more time to soak in the sweet things in life. To enjoy all those euphoric Ben & Jerry's chunks and swirls. No. Cookie, no matter what the day's to-dos, having my ice cream and eating it too doesn't have to be a to-do. Now I can do what I want to do.
And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. Thank you.
Now you can hear there that Mackenzie still claimed what happened wasn't her fault. And if she had appealed, her defense may have pointed to what they believed was a lack of evidence proving that she knew what she was doing. But we'll talk a little bit more in a moment about why she won't be able to appeal. Now, prior to Mackenzie's victim impact statement, Mackenzie's mom addressed the court, and it did not go well.
She would never, ever, ever murder the love of her life. Okay? For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked, and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go. Have just a moment of fun. A moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world. Her whole world. So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes. Okay, and they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the 2 dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, she's a new friend, and I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No. No, God, no, not at all. they all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know too
Isn't
much
that
for
part
him.
of the problem, Mrs. Sherrill?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was
It's
wonderful.
a problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
But we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
Then it was the judge's turn to speak.
There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family, or Davion's family, or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence. But I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years.
In the documentary, it says that Mackenzie's appeal was denied. There is a little more context to that I want to talk about here in just a moment, but let's talk about Mackenzie's dad. He works as a teacher at a Catholic school in Cleveland. His name is Steve Sherrill, and he teaches art and digital media at Mary Queen of Peace School. This week, he was placed on administrative leave because of, quote, poor judgment. According to local media outlet Cleveland 19 News, Mary Queen of Peace School reportedly sent this following email to parents, quote, "Dear Mary Queen of Peace School parents, families, and guardians, we are investigating allegations made on social media that one of our teachers has demonstrated poor judgment. Upon learning of the allegation, the school acted immediately and placed the teacher on administrative leave. The investigation is ongoing. We want every parent and family to know that the safety, well-being, and trust of our students remain among our highest priorities. We take all student concerns seriously and are committed to responding promptly and responsibly whenever concerns are brought forward. While we are limited in what we can share during an active personnel investigation, please know we are reviewing the matter and will provide additional communication as appropriate. We appreciate your continued support of the Mary Queen of Peace School community." Now, Mackenzie's dad confirmed to this television station, Cleveland 19 News, that he has been placed on administrative leave, and he also told the TV station that he's upset with the documentary. He's upset with how it was edited, but he also says he still believes that his daughter is innocent. Now, at the end of the documentary, you saw a part where they say that Mackenzie Sherrilla's appeal was denied. There's a little more context to how that went down. There are some important dates to remember when it comes to how the trial proceeded for Mackenzie Sherrill. Sherrill was found guilty on August 14th, 2023. She was sentenced on August 21st, 2023. Her attorneys filed an appeal on October 24th, 2024. Her attorneys argued there wasn't enough evidence to prove that Mackenzie meant to kill Russo and Flanagan. But then in March of this year, her appeal was rejected, and it wasn't based on the facts of the case. It was denied because it was filed too late, just a day after the deadline to submit it. Sherrill and her attorneys have appealed the decision to not let her appeal. One of the arguments was in 2024 it was a leap year, but the courts ruled against that. And in March, an appeals court said they were not going to let her appeal her verdict. Now again, Mackenzie Sherrill is serving 15 years to life. It is possible that she could be released on parole when she's roughly 34 years old, which would be in 2038. However, again, it is also possible that she spends the rest of her life in prison. That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also now streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the case of Mackenzie Shirilla. Mackenzie Shirilla was recently sentenced to life in prison for the murder of two men, Dominic Russo, who was her boyfriend, and Davian Flanagan, who was a passenger in the car that she ran into the side of a building going 100 miles per hour. While she survived, the lives of the two passengers were lost. Before we start today, I do want to remind you these are just my opinions. This is based on publicly available information. I have not met her, I have not formally evaluated her, and these are just my thoughts based on what I'm observing. I also want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. So what we're really doing today is we're going to be looking at some body language. There's limited footage available, but we'll see what we've got. And then we're going to talk about the psychology of somebody who could do this, somebody who would try to take not only their own life, but the life of the passenger and the life of her boyfriend, and be willing to do that. So we're going to talk about her psychology some after this. But first, let's take a look at some videos from the various hearings and the sentencing. So what we're watching is the hearing where she pleads not guilty. Basically, she's sitting in juvenile detention right now. This is a Zoom call, so she's being zoomed in. But just let's get a little bit of an idea of what her body language is typically like.
679612, Center for Juvenile Detention.
One thing that's pretty obvious is that she looks remarkably relaxed. She's sitting with her head in her hands. She's been playing with her hair, kind of straightening it out. This is something that I'm not saying she's not taking it seriously, but she looks awfully calm. She doesn't seem to have the level of tension that you might expect for a situation like this. I'm going to go back, we'll watch this again, and then we'll keep going.
Yourself, your friends, your family members may not have any contact with the alleged victims' families. Remember, do you understand that? Yes? Alright.
There tends to be a certain level of tension that you see when people are in these kinds of situations, a certain level of fear and concern. She doesn't really seem to demonstrate that. She seems to try to be demonstrating a look of casualness. We'll go back and watch this again, because there really is limited footage that we have of her.
Yes? Alright. We'll know Mr. McDonald's been retained. Case goes back to Nancy Margaret Russo. Judge Russo's staff will set that.
Now, her eyes got really big there, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if it's because the judge's last name is the same as her boyfriend's name. I don't know what that reaction was, but watch this right here.
Back to Nancy Margaret Russo. Judge Russo's.
But that's a look of surprise. That's a genuine look of surprise. It's not very clear why she looks so surprised, though.
Staff will set that next pre-trial. Thank you, Your Honor.
So this is another hearing. So we're getting some live footage of what she's like in these hearings.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state has provided...
And one of the things, once again, that sort of stands out about her is she just seems remarkably casual about these things. She may not be internally. Maybe she just doesn't express it. But it's interesting to see how calm she seems during all of this.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state has...
Mackenzie, are you satisfied with the lawyer so far? You can say so. Yes, Your Honor. Anything that we have to discuss, this trial's coming up soon? Any issues, any discovery problems, anything we need to talk about?
From my position...
And so one of the things that's a little bit difficult with her, it almost looks like she has a slight smirk on her face, or that she might be smiling. This might just be the way that her face looks, because sometimes we see that. Sometimes we see people that we're like, why are they looking so amused by all of this? And so maybe she isn't smiling, but it does seem a little bit like that she, once again, she's saying, yes, Your Honor, she's reacting appropriately, so I'm not being critical in that sense, but she just doesn't seem to have the level of gravity affecting her that you would think in a situation like this that is as serious as all of this is, which may have been what got her in this situation in the first place. But we're going to talk about that after we watch the body language, when we talk more about the psychology of this situation.
Any discovery problems, anything we need to cover?
From my position, Your Honor, no. We've turned over everything I gave
Now we're going to watch the verdict being read, and after that, we're going to talk about the psychology behind how something like this can happen.
I appreciate that despite that stress, you all worked with me to ensure.
So now, as she's being talked to by the judge, as she's preparing for her sentence to be read, you can see the stress on her face a lot more than we did before. This is a little bit more of what we would have expected early on in the process, because oftentimes people are very, very stressed out by being in court. Oftentimes they take it very seriously. Not saying that she wasn't, but she certainly has a very different look and appearance now.
She chose a course of death and destruction that day. Exhibit 802 crystallizes the deadly decision-making of the defendant. She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels as she makes her way down the street. Mackenzie alone made the decision to drive the car, to drive an obscure route.
So oftentimes when we see people cover their mouths, oftentimes that's a shock reaction. Obviously, sometimes it's when people don't want to say something that wouldn't really make sense in this context. So I think that what that says is she may be shocked that this is the result. She may truly have not understood or not expected this result to happen. She may have thought that this was not going to go this way. That may have been why she appeared so calm previously.
Methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder. Court renders the following verdicts. Count 1. The court, having had count 1 tried to a pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder to win Dominic Russo.
It's interesting, even then, despite the fact that the judge was very clearly laying out what was going to happen, she still seemed further shocked. She still seems to be somewhat in denial up to the very moment that it's told to her. Watch her reaction right here.
The court, having had count 1 tried to a pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder to win Dominic.
So you see her eyes got bigger. And we do that when we're surprised or when we're shocked.
Russo, in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.028.
I wish we had more footage to analyze so we could see more of what she was like as evidence was being presented, but it really isn't available. So I thought we would just look at a little bit of body language to get some idea of what she was like, so that then we can talk some about the psychology of this situation. Because the psychology of this situation is complicated, and I think that part of what brings people's attention to this situation is it's so strange. The idea that someone would drive 100 miles an hour into a wall that seems to have their whole life ahead of them. Why would they do something like this? So let's talk about what would cause somebody to act in this way. I want to caution you, it's very possible that these ideas don't apply to Mackenzie Shirilla. I'm talking more generally about anybody who would engage in this. Anybody who would take a car with their boyfriend and another friend in the back seat and run it into a wall at 100 miles an hour might be dealing with the various issues we're going to discuss. I can't guarantee, or I can't say whether or not they would be applicable to her. So let's jump right into why somebody would do this. So it's been reported that her and Dominic Russo had a conflicted relationship, that it was volatile at times. For people that have conflicted or obsessive or challenging relationships like this, it's possible that she conflated love and death. In other words, that she had a hard time separating it. She may have seen death as a unifying act, as a romantic act. And this can blur the lines between consequences, intentions, and even the act itself. There's always got to be mental health considerations. Is this somebody that's dealing with something like borderline personality disorder? I'm not speculating that she has it. I have no reason to believe she has that specifically, but that's the kind of diagnosis people oftentimes go to when people engage in acts like this. Is there depression? Is there something else going on that added to the likelihood that something like this could happen? That wouldn't excuse it, but at least it would help us make sense of it. At one point, the prosecutor described Davian Flanagan as cargo. In other words, that she didn't see him as a person, she saw him as an object. And this is something I describe in other situations with other people. In other words, when people have certain dysfunctional types of personalities, they then see people as objects, and they can treat them as such. So it doesn't matter that he's a living, breathing person to her. He's a means to an end. She has her boyfriend in the car. She has a mission that she wants to accomplish, and the person in the back seat was not a person to her, potentially. Not saying that's necessarily true, but that's oftentimes how people that can engage in these kinds of behaviors see others. They're a means to an end. As the driver of the car, I would be surprised if she expected to survive. And so you have to wonder if that was a way to avoid consequences or shame or guilt about engaging in that act. Narcissism always has to be considered when someone's willing to put their own needs that far above those of anyone else. You have to consider this could be an extreme form of narcissism or something else, another type of personality issue. So we have to look at the intersection of impulsivity and premeditation. So people that engage in impulsive acts oftentimes get themselves in trouble because they act without thinking. That's what impulsivity is. Premeditation is planning beforehand. If someone is premeditated because they know they're thinking about hurting somebody, right, but they don't know if they would actually go through with it, but they think about it, they talk about it, they even say the way that they would do it. People make a lot of threats, people say a lot of things, but they don't always act on them. She made that threat, and it may have been impulsive that she acted on it. I think there's some suggestion of that, considering there was a third person in the car that shows an absolute callous disregard for his life. Her disregard for life in general is startling, but the idea that she engaged in this with a third person in the car shows some degree of impulsivity as well. So a combination of premeditation and impulsivity can be very, very dangerous. It's also got to be considered the way that it happened. In other words, running a car into a wall is a violent act. It is not passive in any way.
I was gonna do the jail calls, but I'll do the jail calls a little bit later. I'll try to come back later and do the jail calls. But after this little clip here, I'm gonna end it and come back later.
And so that speaks a lot to the psychology of somebody who engages in this act. That is rageful, that is hateful, that is angry, particularly with a third person in the car. It'd be bad enough if it was just her boyfriend, but bringing another friend along with this, that is absolute and utter rage. And so that's one of the things that you have to try to figure out with this, because when she presents in court, she doesn't present as rageful in court, she presents as flippant. But having the way that they've described their relationship, the volatility in the relationship, the conflict in the relationship, there certainly seems to be a lot of she is saying out in the open, I would do this. And somehow it wasn't taken seriously enough for anything to happen. I'm not blaming anybody for not stopping it. It certainly is nobody's fault but hers for doing this. But I do think it highlights the fact that we really, really need to take it seriously when anybody makes these kinds of threats, even if you don't think that it's serious, even if they seem like the kind of person who would never do it. Because I would be shocked if anybody thought she would actually go through with something like this. But it doesn't change the fact that if people are going to say these kinds of things, if people are going to make these kinds of threats, we have to take them very, very seriously.
Right.
Before we wrap up, I do want to say, I hope if there's anybody that has any thoughts about it.
And we're done for right now. I thank y'all for being here. I'm praying hope see y'all again soon. Peace.